The relegation scrap. Who survives? Who goes to the championship? Hey guys, Fletch here as per usual. You know the drill by now. Welcome back to the channel. This is another Fletch Talks video with another hotly debated and interesting topic at hand. As today we are looking at the relegation fight for this season, which is kind of like a follow-up to what I did earlier this week when I posted a video talking about the race for top four. We are now going to look at the foot of the table, the bottom of the table, to determine who may be in very serious trouble to go down to the championship and be relegated for this season. But Captain Fletch, sir, who is going to be relegated this season? Oh, you're back, are you? Great. Well, again, as my answer was earlier this week, the short answer is I don't know. And the long answer will be drawn out over the course of this video again, in which the answer will still be I don't know, but I will be giving my opinions and predictions on this topic, as I don't really have a crystal ball or any kind of psychic power. Just saying. But before I do go any further with this video, I'd like to remind you all to please like the video and subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And now that we got that bit out of the way, it's time to get on with the rest of the video. So we're going to begin with rock bottom Sheffield United, who have really struggled this season in comparison to their huge and quite shocking, for all the right reasons, season of the last campaign, in which they pretty much shocked everybody by finishing comfortably in mid-table. The Blades currently find themselves in last place though this season with 14 points from 27 games, and you know, to add on top of that, it did take them until mid-January to actually record their first victory of this season. They seem to have suffered with this classic second season syndrome, it appears. This kind of syndrome is basically where newly promoted teams pick up their first time back in the Premier League, or their first time in the Premier League. They pick it back up and they shock a lot of people, a lot of teams, and they seem to survive, and survive pretty comfortably, as what Sheffield United have done here. But they haven't taken that surprise further, and they are unable to replicate that in their second season in England's top flight division. And so here we are now with the reality of Sheffield United doing, or seemingly doing, exactly that. With 12 points separating themselves from safety, I think that maybe, just maybe, that's too much to ask for this United side to achieve Premier League survival, and therefore I think we can consider them to be the first team of this season to be relegated, barring some kind of late great escape, incredible action going on down there. But I don't think that will be the case for Sheffield United. Next, we come to second from bottom West Brom, who began the season with Slaven Bilic and have now got big Sam Allardyce in charge of them. The managerial change occurred because the West Brom board thought that the writing was on the wall for them, so to speak, and decided to act very quickly in sacking Bilic and bringing in a Premier League veteran, a connoisseur of pints of wine and anything that you can find in your local chip shop, in Sam Allardyce, the Premier League's answer to a very terrible rip-off of a Marvel superhero, as normally he can save teams from relegation, but this team, or this time rather, maybe his luck may have run out, so to speak, on that record, and this club may be just one step too far for even the great Sam Allardyce. The Baggies are 9 points off of Premier League safety, and you know, that's with 11 games remaining. The writing on the wall seems to be there for them. It doesn't look good for anybody associated with the club, and it could be that they just yo-yo back down to the Championship. And despite picking up some good results here and there, there's been nothing of any real good consistency for this club to really get their hopes up that anything of a late revival of this season will happen. A lack of star quality, along with the third worst goals return of any club in this Premier League season, and the outright worst defensive record of this Premier League season, all contribute and seem to suggest that Albion's fate may already be sealed. I would go on a limb and consider that West Brom are to be relegated to the Championship following this campaign. In 18th place, we find yet another newly promoted club from the Championship in Fulham, Scott Parker's Fulham. It took a bit of time for the formerly regular Premier League outfit to find their feet back in England's top flight division, but Fulham have been going about their business in a steady fashion, picking up some decent results here and there, not necessarily gaining a good or a large amount of luck and good fortune at various times throughout this campaign, but the club, the manager especially, and the players have received praise nonetheless for how they've gone about their business in returning to the Premier League. Especially Scott Parker, as I mentioned, who's still a very young and up-and-coming manager on that front. Their goals return is only one better than West Brom, so it's not good on that score. But their defensive record, however, actually kind of shocked me when I was looking at this. It isn't actually too bad. They've got a better defensive record than Liverpool, who are in 7th. And their defensive record is actually only one worse than second place Manchester United's, which seems to suggest that if they can find some consistent form in front of goal, then maybe, just maybe, the main goal of Premier League survival this season will be obtained by this club, should it happen, of course. Next we come to Newcastle United, and well, I think this club may be in real danger of returning once again to the Championship. The fans may not be in the stadium right now, but believe me, they are making their voices heard on social media, voicing their displeasure at watching their team play some boring and negative football week in, week out, as well as talking about manager Steve Bruce, who in my personal opinion is not a Premier League manager at all and is Championship at best. And it looks like the Championship might be where they're heading, in all honesty. The Championship might be welcoming them back with open arms, as it doesn't look good for the Magpies at all. Their hopes of Premier League survival seem to stem on the likes of Callum Wilson's goals return, although he's injured right now, which sums up the luck that they're having. And along with that, they have also the star quality of Alan Saint-Maximin and the wing. His individual quality can often bring some good performances, or good results rather, should I say, for the Magpies to try and get them out of this situation. But, of course, Wilson's injury, Saint-Maximin finding that he can't win matches on his own because of what he's got around him at times, seems to be all contributing to a bit of a struggle for this club. One in which they'll either just fall short of surviving once again, or they'll be heavily limping over the finish line to survival. Only time will tell on that front which one it is to be. Elsewhere, you have a team like Brighton, who I believe will certainly stay up this season. Their issue appears to be finding someone to stick the ball in the back of the net on a consistent and prolific basis. They play some nice football at times, do Brighton, and create many chances, but consistency in front of goal has rather let them down a little bit over the course of this campaign. But having said that, I'm pretty confident that the Seagulls will survive. Also, I think you have to consider Burnley, who could also be drawn into this relegation scrap as well. They are currently 6 points away from the bottom 3, but with Sean Dyche's side able to grind out results and their direct and physical approach to games being a test for anybody within this league, they should also be fine in surviving another year within England's top flight division. And just because of the way the league is right now and because of their current positioning, I honestly think we have to mention Southampton here. To show you how crazy this season is, the Saints are on a 9 league game winless run, and we're hanging around the top 6 just after the new year. But things have took a bit of a nosedive, and 3 months later, the club find themselves in 14th place in the table, 7 points off of the drop zone. The goals have dried up, the defence isn't as solid as what it once was, but with some interesting fixtures fast approaching for the Saints, I would say that they should be fine in seeing off any kind of threat of relegation. It's just only their current position as to why I have included them within this discussion. So to sum up, I think looking at the table as it currently stands, looking at the level of performances as they currently stand, I think that the current bottom 2 clubs in West Brom and Sheffield United are already gone. I think they will be having to look forward to life in the Championship for the next campaign. I don't see either of them pulling off any kind of great escape type situation. And as for the third and final place of relegation, I can see it honestly being Newcastle. I think Fulham have possibly enough to survive. I think they can find someone to score them important and vital goals when needed. But for Newcastle, I just don't think that they have enough about them and the managerial hunger, shall we say, to really survive in this league any further. I think Newcastle are a great club. I think their fan base are amazing. They've got great history. But the club is being run by a guy who only sees it as a money-making business rather than as a football club. And you know that to be true when you look at some of the decisions that have gone into what makes that club being run as it is today, rather than what it could be, what it could have been. And, you know, I just think that on the pitch is probably not as bad as what is being off the pitch, but it's still pretty bad, and that's why I believe that the Magpies will be going into the Championship for next season. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments and opinions of this guy. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you make of the relegation scrap? Who do you think will be going down this season? What do you make of the teams that I've talked about? Were there anybody else, outsiders, that possibly could be drawn into a relegation fight? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments and opinions down below in the comment section. I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. And I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video.